Here we go. I'll record. There you go. You're on.
All right. We're here with the Sapien Tribe. We're going to do a live update of the Food Lives film. I'm here with my director and editor and writer, Jay Hanamura.
How's it going, guys?
What's up,
Yep,
Jay?
so we're here in Hawaii. I flew in yesterday, and the idea is to do a 3-week hackathon, I guess. Jay has a sort of home office and an extra room, and I'm staying here, and we're just working on it nonstop. And Jay can kind of tell you what he does.
Sure. So I have my own video production company here in Hawaii, mostly specialized in TV commercials and really helping out local clientele. I've been doing video production, directing, more specifically for my entire life since high school. And that's actually where Brian and I were classmates from high school. And we started making our own little school videos. And then I kind of just went with it, kept going. And I'm just doing that till today.
Yeah. So he's doing really great things here. He's really talented. Maybe I can share some of his little like commercial spots. Yeah, like really great stuff. So I'm really proud to have him on the team. And he's actually been doing this type of diet before I really started. He has a great before and after picture too. So this is part of the problem. People just look at us like, oh, these guys are just thin guys. They can just eat whatever they want. Oh, whatever. Like, no, man, you should like get out his picture. He was like a sort of a round guy. It was a pretty round guy, you know, but now he just looks naturally healthy and thin, and everyone just assumes that he was just born like that. And, you know, I always say that's why I'm trying to make this film. You know, these everyday people who think they're doing okay don't realize how much better they could be doing. So, yeah, he's gotten into this stuff before me. You know, you read Primal Blueprint. Was that your first?
Yeah, I got into this actually with another mutual friend who really turned me on to it through Mark Sisson and paleo and all that kind of jazz. And I've been doing this for almost 5-6 years now. And this has become a big passion of mine, spreading the word. And it just fell into place when Brian really started getting into it. And he talked about making a film. And obviously that's what I'm doing in my background. So I was kind of just watching from afar to see how serious he was. And then he just like, he kept going and he started lining up the interviews, and then with all the guys that I had started following already, and then it just kind of worked from there, and I jumped on.
Yeah, that was kind of a huge turning point in this film, is when Jay jumped on board, because I was trying to do it on my own before, and you know how hard it is getting a film going. You know, we had limited funds. I was doing the Indiegogos. You were getting some money, but I was a nobody. You know, I had to do 4 crowdfunding campaigns before we really started getting enough money to make a serious film. And I wanted to kind of explain some of this process to people, because so many people asked, you know, why is this taking so long? What's the status? All this type of stuff. So in the beginning, you know, I was a bit naive. I thought I could just do it on my own, you know, hire a few camera people, throw together the outline. You know, I kind of knew all the information, or thought I knew all the information, and just thought I could go from there. Didn't turn out that way. You know, if you have a couple $100,000, you could put together a team and maybe do that, but it didn't work out like that. So I kind of slowly built an audience, did the podcast, learned a lot more. You know, this process just kept changing. You know, some people say you got to stop at some point and just get the film out there. We understand that. That's not where we're at. We're not like, oh, we're going to just keep, you know, tinkering with this forever. We're at the point where we've learned a lot, especially in the past 2 years, that have really taken the film and the information to the next level. And now we're just trying to execute it to make something very good. And Jay has a little more insight on this part of like what we're really trying to do here and why it's taking a long time.
Yeah. And Brian touched on it, you know, bigger budgets. When you have something like that, then you can put more people, and I think people can realize that money can make things move. When you don't have as much, you got to get more creative, and there's more time involved. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But as far as where what we're trying to do with this film, I like to tell people that we're basically making like 8 documentaries into one. And I think that starts to kind of give people a perspective on what we're trying to do with this film and why it might be a bigger task than maybe just making one good documentary. I think people that are a little familiar with the kind of material that we're going to be covering realize that it's really trying to touch on a lot of things, a lot of stories, a lot of history, a lot of science and different
environmental
yeah
stuff. And
environmental.
that's like a separate thing. It's a separate whole topic.
And so really we're trying to pack a lot into it, and so with that kind of approach, it's just going to take a lot of time. And yes, we do want to do it well. And I'm a person who comes from the commercial world, so I'm doing a lot of project management, and I do a lot of turnaround on projects, and I know how to finish things pretty quickly. So I think we're a good pair as far as Brian and I. He's coming from this big passion project, and I am someone who just kind of churns out these projects and really knows how to finish something from beginning to end. But with that said, I also come with a certain level of quality where I want to make sure you do something really well, and once you kind of get to a certain level, know how to kind of execute and finish from there.
Yeah, and so I always like to kind of compare it to some other documentaries that are made and some things on Netflix, like Explained is a big inspiration. So if anyone's seen Explained on Netflix, it's a big production, multi-million-dollar production, and they do tons of great infographics. It's very well produced. It's narrator driven. It's not like, say, a documentary that came out in our space and didn't really make a splash. And I don't want to throw anyone's film under the bus, but there's been many low carb kind of films over the years, and the mainstream hasn't heard of them. So basically, inherently, so they didn't make a splash because no one's heard of them. So yeah, they must have been that groundbreaking. And so we could have put together something 2 years ago that could have been great, fine, good, done. Maybe the whole low carb community would have loved it, whatever you want to call it, ancestral community, and they would have been, yeah, this is great. But I don't know if it would have transcended to the bigger population. So then the level of doing that is years, right? It's not like, oh, we'll just spend an extra 3 months and it'll be that much better. No, it's years to do that, unless you have maybe a multi-million-dollar team of dozens of people working on it, like the show Explained does. So I suggest checking out the show Explained so you can see kind of what we're doing, visuals, just really great stuff. But just know that it does take that long. And then also go over a little bit of sort of what the processes happen over the years. I had another couple editors on board, and they were great. They had their own journey. They lost 80 pounds each, and they were really passionate about this, but we still had to pay them. They were working at like half price, discounted rates, passion project for them, but still that wasn't going to work. We tried to make it work. It just wasn't happening. We need someone like Jay here that was completely invested, doing this on his own time. Jay refuses all my money. I'm like, hey, I have some Food Lies budget. He's like, no, use that Food Lies budget for the composer, for the graphics, for all the great finishing, post-production we're going to do on it. So yeah, we're reserving all the money for that to make it that much better. And he's not taking any money. And that's how we're going to make this work, because we have these work sessions every single day. For this entire pandemic, we've been doing them virtually, and we do them, a couple hours each day and just go over every single detail in excruciating detail. And that's how you make something special. Like, I get frustrated sometimes because I was like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just start editing. Let's just do it. It's like, no, let's go over every line. We're going to make this outline where we need to get in the right order. We need to be prepared way ahead of time before. And I guess that's what happens when you do big commercial. He does like big giant companies like Lexus, or I don't know if whoever I could say the names of the people you work with, but he's doing projects for giant people, and he knows how to get it done. So that's been helping as we go through this process. So I don't know anything else on that.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the overall goal and what we want for this film, and Brian was talking about it, but we want this to be the health nutrition film that everybody is very proud to pass on to their family and friends, and that can really be the encompassing type of piece that you know, a lot of people just don't have the time to read the books, the articles, and all the things, and watch multiple documentaries and watch, you know, a whole series on things. That's why we chose the like a 2-hour documentary length, because we feel that that will get the most eyeballs and it'll get just enough information across where we feel that might make the shift in people to, you know, change the way they approach, you know, their relationship with food and health. And so when we that really is the driving factor in the type of quality you want to do. And yeah, you know, it's hard to kind of estimate when, you know, when you reach that point, but we do have, at least I have a experience in knowing, you know, how to get to a place, and then we gotta, you know, call it quits at some point. But we're still striving for making a very impactful 2 hours, something that's very entertaining, that's moving, that's fresh, that's creative, and that has all the right information, and that's being double checked and triple checked, and making sure that we have all, you know, that it can stand the test of time, per se, which is tough for any health nutrition type of thing, because things are ever changing, but we want to be kind of really hedging our bets on everything.
Well, the test of time, that's a big thing. We always talk about this internally, about a 10-year. We want this to last a decade, be proud of it a decade later. And again, you can't pump that out, you know, quickly and just throw something up. It's just not going to hold up. So we're really going the extra mile there. And then back to Explained, these 20-minute episodes, right? And so you just said we're doing 2 hours. 2 hours is not a normal length of a documentary. They should be 90 minutes, people say. We might have trouble selling it to Netflix. And by selling it, I mean them giving us 1/10 of what what it cost us to make. But they wanted 90 minutes. We're going to do 2 hours. That's basically 6 episodes of Explained. So it's like a season of Explained, and we're trying to do that between 2 people. And yeah, you know, we have some help with some other people, but it's a big task. So I guess that's a lot of, you know, explanations. There's also COVID. We were supposed to be filming this whole year. We were supposed to be going to Africa. We were supposed to be doing all kinds of things. Didn't work out. Going to Africa now in February, going to the Museum of Natural History to film, supposedly, hopefully, if they ever open. They keep saying, oh, we're not open yet, with Dr. Brianna Pobner, anthropologist, archaeologist. We just have a lot more to film. And yeah, we're just diving into edits. So yeah, I keep trying to say maybe we can be done by summer. Jay thinks that's not realistic when you really get into all the details. Like, he knows like how much it takes. Okay, well, now we got to do the score. Now we have to do each graphic, and each minute of this film is like a project, basically. And lastly, just he's saying we're doing something special. So just the intro, for example, we spent our whole break last Christmas filming this intro. Just there's 100-something shots, and this is the care we're going to. We spent weeks and weeks preparing and shooting. Geez, more than just 3 weeks. We started way beforehand, just to get an intro that's impactful and makes people want to watch it, and is really engaging and interesting and new, and nothing like any documentary's done. So that's the kind of lengths we're going to. And so that's my spiel. If there's any questions, go ahead and ask them. There's Chris.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Again, I was an early backer, and, you know, and I know what it takes to make a film, and I know how much you've put into this, because like I said, I've been working with you for a little while now. And it's one of these things, like you mentioned, you don't want to throw the other documentaries under the bus. And I'm like a nutrition nerd, so I watch all of them, and I'm like, hey, that's great. And it's like, oh yeah, check this out. But it's like every single one of them leaves me lacking a little bit. It's like, oh, they didn't quite cover it, or, oh, they didn't really explain that really well. And I know just from listening to over 100 episodes of your podcast, again, I've been listening since day one, and just the wealth of information that's in that podcast. Literally, there's got to be, 150, close to 200 hours of podcasts. And again, to narrow that down to 2 hours. But I'm just so excited, because I just can't wait for this film to come out, to say, hey, look, go watch this. And I think it will literally be the end all be all of nutrition films. Just from what I know about you, what you've shared so far, I know the interviews that you've got, or the people that you've interviewed. I haven't seen the behind the scenes or anything like that, but I just know that people are going to go, oh, okay, yeah, these are the food lies. Again, before I lost my 100 pounds, I was like, I struggled my whole life with my weight. I lost the weight and I was like, oh my God. And that's what I thought. They just lied to me. The dietitians, the nutritionists, my personal trainers, all these people fucking lied to me, and it pissed me off. And, and so that's why I'm so excited for this film to come out, because I know the detail that you're going to. I know the level. I know that, like you mentioned, you want it to be backed up by science. You want it to stand the test of time, so like, that what you're saying is truthful, is based in fact, is based in history and all that stuff. So again, I'm just super excited to be on the team and be helping you guys out a little bit with the Sapien tribe and stuff. But I'm just telling you, I have so much faith in you and the integrity, and I just know how much you put into it. And it's cool to hear Jay's story. I didn't really know about that, but that's awesome. And I think it's telling that story, making it entertaining and not just some boring, like, oh, here's some facts about cholesterol and blah, 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 but actually make it so people go, oh shit, yeah, this is crazy. Get people fired up to actually make some changes. So anyway, stoked. Can't wait. Glad you're in Hawaii. Awesome. Jealous that you're in Hawaii.
Come out anytime.
Yeah. Well, no, I think some of the films I've seen over the past 5 years when I've been watching them is they do one side or the other well. I've seen a film, they did a lot of the stories well, but I felt like I didn't get all the info and the stats and the this and that. I got the emotional side, or some films I just got the numbers and cholesterol story, or they got really focused on, oh, this is the history. This is the history. It's like, okay, I get it. There was some history there, but we need to know more. Or let's go back into evolution. Let's see the longer story history, or let's go into some practical lifestyle changes that we can do. And so we're doing all of that. That's why Jay's calling it like 8 different pieces, and we have 8 sections. And we are going the extra mile and saying we have some takeaways for you. We're not going to just tell you like Michael Pollan, eat plants and eat less. It's just like an absurd culmination of a movie. We're going to have some actual actionable advice and stuff like that. So does anyone else have questions here? We have Carolyn or Tim. Yeah, just unmute yourself. We got Tim.
I'll go first, shall I? I'd just like to echo that. I think there are so many people out there that are just miseducated and under misconception when it comes to diet and the important facts of it. So I just think anything that can get the truth out there. It opened my eyes, and clearly it's opened a lot of people's eyes, and it's life-changing as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And I'm glad that you're taking the time to make it really, really good, because you're right, there is some stuff out there that's less than 100%, and it's just, that would just fall by the wayside. So I'm really looking forward to it personally. But you mentioned Netflix. I just wondered what were your other sort of distribution intentions, or are you kind of starting with that?
Yeah, we're talking to some companies. There are some distribution companies that we can partner with, and they'll help us do that. So that's definitely in the cards. We want to get out to backers first, then we can get it up on iTunes and Amazon, and maybe we could charge some money for the people who didn't back us to try to make some of our money back that way. That's sort of a standard thing people do. And then you go to the streaming platforms, because I've heard enough firsthand accounts of people getting kind of ripped off, as you'd call it, on these big platforms. But I really want to get it to Netflix just to make sure the most people get to see it. So I'm willing to, not make any money, lose money if I have to, just to get it on Netflix. And then,
Yeah, we're pretty open to. I think our main priority has always been most eyeballs, whatever path that could be, and it could be different in 6 months, a year from now. I mean, that's constantly changing. Netflix audience is changing, the streaming audience is changing, but yeah, I think priority is to make the best film possible, so it opens up more doors. That's usually my kind of approach to things. If you make something really great, then people will either have no choice to, sign you up for their platform, or it's just gonna be a lot easier to sell. You're only as good as, what your product is. So, that's really what we're putting our efforts in, and we're kind of keeping tabs on different venues of where we're gonna show it. But really the main goal is to put it in front of the most eyeballs, or have the most accessibility to to the film is possible.
Yeah. What about you, Carolyn?
Am I still muted?
No, you're good.
Oh, good. This is the first time I've used Zoom.
Oh, wow.
I've made it this far in 2020. I have not needed it daily. I don't really have a question, but I was also curious about the distribution, and just I'm really looking forward to having such a well-made go-to resource to share with people, because I follow this way of eating, and people are so curious about it, and they're afraid for various reasons. It'll be the cholesterol, it'll be, don't you need fiber, it'll be something. And I want to give copies of it. I work at a natural food store, and you would not believe the kind of just organic junk food. I want to have copies of it available at the store. And anyway, just excited. And I couldn't be a backer early on, but I definitely want to support and kind of saving up to throw some money your way as soon as I can.
Well, you're part of the tribe. I appreciate it. And yeah, I think we're good now. We're good now because we have Jay on board, and I think we're monetarily fine, finally. And
good work deserves some support, though.
Well,
you guys have done a lot for me, and I've just watched clips.
Yeah, long term. We're in it for the long term, and we're in it for just making the changes. I mean, our plans go way beyond the film, right? Our goal is we were talking about a restaurant. Like, how do we get people into a affordable, convenient way to eat like this, right? That will make it more accessible to people. What can we do to more education content beyond the film, like on YouTube? I'm moving to Austin, and I want to open an in-person facility there. Like, what else can we do on all sides of this to change the way people think about food? So
yeah, we were actually before the film talking more about one of the big problems is having more resources to find the right foods and restaurants that have the right types of ingredients, and things that taking out the vegetable oils and the cooking and all that kind of stuff. But then the more we talked about it, we realized that education is also the first step. And so once we have that, and it can even be used as a business tool down the line, but once we can build that, put that together, then that can really lay the foundation for the community, for people that want to really understand what this is all about, which is it's just hard. Everybody's had the conversation with their friends. You could sit down for hours, and then you can just maybe move an inch with them, because it's just so much going on. And really, it is a film, a documentary, that to me is the best platform to get this type of information across the multi-pronged information and all the dimensions of it in a clean, entertaining and informational way. So.
Yeah, that's it. We can close it out here. I want to keep this to 30 minutes, but basically that's what I always say when I go on other people's podcasts. It's like the whole goal is to give them the ultimate tool. The ultimate tool, like Jay started out, no one's going to listen to the 1,000 hours of podcasts that it takes and the hundreds of books and all that. No one's going to do that. But if you give them a 2-hour audio visual, backed by science, hundreds of studies. We're already compiling this companion website with hundreds and hundreds of studies to back up every single point that we make. If you can give someone that, they will actually watch it. It's the biggest thing you can do to move the needle. And then, then they can go to the next step, and maybe they'll buy the Primal Blueprint or whatever else and listen to the podcast and go on their way. But you need that really strong audio visual just presentation. It's a thesis. It's an audio-visual thesis, the best we can do, and that's what we're making. So thanks so much, everyone who's going to watch this later on. You can go to foodlies.org and just find out some more information there. And we're going to try to get this out as soon as possible and make it as good as we can. And thanks so much.
Thanks, you guys.
Mahalo. Take care.